Welcome back to the Tech Fighter channel. What do we have for you guys today? We have a competition video, and you know what that means. That means we're gonna declare a winner. We're gonna have a fight between LG G6 clear cases, and we're gonna declare a winner, not just from among those cases, but also from among you guys, my subscribers. One of you guys will be winning one of these fabulous cases. They're all really good. I picked some of the cases that I've always liked over the past few years for my different phones, and I'm going to find out which one made the best case, a clear case on this occasion, for my newest phone, the G6. So let's look at the competitors. We're not going to spend too much time on boxes and stuff, but I'm just going to show them to you so you know who is in the competition. We got this UAG Plasma. Then we're also going to have the Spigen crystal shell. Then we're going to have the Ghostek Cloak 2. And then we're going to have the Poetic Affinity Slim Fit. And let's begin with that one. But before I start talking about the cases, just wanted to let you know we're going to be looking at fit and finish. And we'll also be looking at protection. And then just an overall look or overall what do we think of the case. And let me tell you, this was a difficult video for me to make because it was hard to pick a winner, because I've been using these cases already for several days a piece, and by this point I already kind of figured out which one I like the best, but it was really hard to figure that out. And maybe you guys will think a different one is a winner. That's cool, but at least through this video you can kind of see some of the pros and cons of each of these cases. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and put the phone in there, in the Poetic Affinity. This Poetic, if I would have gotten a different color, I think I would have liked it even more, because the fit and finish is fabulous. It fits nice and tight, nice and snug. It just feels so good in the hand. And check out these little raised edges on the side. It helps with the grip. I just wish I would have gotten black, or maybe the whole transparent one, the crystal colored one, because I just don't really like this blue. But anyway, that's really nice, these little ridges. And look at the corners here. Nicely protected, reinforced there in the corners. That looks really good, and it protects as well. And look at the raised edges here. Also nice protection for the screen. Let's see if I can get a good zoom in on that. Oh, let's see, wants to keep focusing on the UAG. Yeah, you can kind of see there the raised edges. It's got plenty of raised edges even with the screen protector, so you can drop it on the face of the phone and don't worry about it, because it's not even going to touch the screen. It's there. Okay, the cutouts are really nice and centered. Really good workmanship on this case. I'm surprised for the price. It really is good. Then the power buttons, the volume buttons, those are really nice and clicky. And then it's also, the cutouts are really well centered. Okay. Sometimes you can get thrown off because it's a crystal case, a clear case, and it looks like it's off, but it's not really, just the way the light is shining on there. But they're centered correctly. And the protection for the camera is there as well. See that? Okay. And then the cutouts on the top, also perfect. Very nicely built case. And good protection. I really don't have much negative to say about this other than the color, and that's really my fault for having picked the blue one. I should have picked, like I said, the crystal clear one. The only thing, very minor negative, is that this one's the hardest one to take off of all the cases. And I think maybe the reason why is because it's probably one of the most stiff ones. But that's a very minor negative. It's not difficult to take off. It's just slightly more difficult than the others. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The Ghostek. Cool name, right? Well, this one has like a little aluminum metal bumper around it. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and slip the phone in there. Okay, this one too. The volume buttons are nice and responsive. The cutouts are a little bit off. You might be able to see there, like, for example, I think this is the mic right here. That one's a little bit off. I mean, it's not covering the hole. The case isn't covering the hole, but it's not perfectly centered. Not a big deal, just a little OCD. On the back is pretty good there. Nicely centered, everything's nicely centered, and there's good protection for the camera. And all these cutouts make it easy to be able to reach the power button without looking at it. You know, it's very convenient. The protection to the screen, it also has a nice raised edge there on the case. So your screen is protected. You can also lay it flat. But you'll notice that this one doesn't have the raised corners for extra protection there. Not that it doesn't have protection, it just doesn't have the reinforced corners like the previous one did. Alrighty, that's the Ghostek. This one comes off fairly easy. Now let's move on to the crystal shell. Here's the crystal shell. Cutouts are nicely centered. This also has a nice raised edge there, protecting the screen, so you can tell. And look at the reinforced corners on this one. Extra protection there on the corners. The openings are nicely centered on the back as well. Great protection for the camera also. The volume buttons are clicky. Nicely centered on here. This one is pretty nice all the way around. It's got good protection for the screen, good protection for the corners. The design kind of gets out of the way. It's a nice design, but it lets the phone look good on its own without taking too much attention away from it with the design of the case. This, I really could not find a definitive negative to this case. There it is. The branding is very, you know, it's not in your face. It's just very slight branding there on that side and a little bit on this side as well. Nice case. Comes off fairly easily as well. And then finally the UAG. UAG's always been known for great protection, and it's got one of those designs that's really nice, but some people, you know, just don't like it. It's one of those you either love it or you hate it, but the protection cannot be denied. Reinforced corners. It's got some ridges on the edges also to be able to grip it easier. The volume buttons are nice and clicky. Protection for the screen, definitely we have a nice raised edge as well. The back buttons nicely centered. Also, you can feel it, all of these cases, you can feel the power button so easily without having to look at it because of how recessed it is in the case. And of course, protection for the camera. And those are the ports there, cutouts for your headphone jack and for your what is that, like a microphone also, whatever. Now the fit was not as precise on this one, and I was kind of down about it. I don't know if you can kind of tell. I'm a little OCD about that, but look at the bottom here. You can see it's a little floppy. It should be covering the bottom a little bit better than that. And this is, I'm nitpicking here big time, okay? But this is the most expensive of all of them, and I didn't like how soft it was on the bottom. None of the other cases had that issue. Okay, the other ones protected. It was a nice line, a nice cutout right here on the other ones, and this one kind of sagged a little bit on the bottom and on the top. Look, I'll compare it real quick to the Spigen. So you'll know what I'm talking about. Saw how floppy that one was. And look at this one. It just felt so much better in all the other cases. And the only reason I'm being that picky is because that other one is the most expensive for 40 bucks. So those are all the 4 cases. Which one do you like the best? Keep in mind, pricing might be an issue here if you're trying to figure out which one is the best deal. This one, the Poetic is like $5, and then the UAG is like 40. Now this the Spigen is like 25, and this one's like 15 or so. Really, all these cases shouldn't be more than 20 bucks. The Poetic is probably the best for the price. The UAG is the most well-known. What I didn't like, to me, all of them had reinforced corners with the exception of the of the Ghostek. Okay, so I want some protection on my cases, and they could have easily added that. So because it doesn't have the reinforced corners, the Ghostek is not in the running for winning case for me. So we're back down to these 3. And I was very surprised to come to this conclusion, but for the price, I would have expected better quality or a better fit from the UAG. And I actually have a better fit from the Poetic. So I cannot, in good conscience, give a win to a case that's $40 that does not have as good a fit and finish as the one that's between 5 and 10 bucks. So for that reason, even though this is a great case, it cannot be my winner. So we're down to these 2. We're down to the Poetic and to the Crystal Shell. And the winner is going to, they both have great fit and finish. They both have good protection. But just overall, I think the Crystal Shell looks better on my phone because of the design. It just is a nice looking case, doesn't take anything away from the phone, whereas the Poetic does with the extra lines and stuff. But this is really hard to pass up, especially for the price. But if I could only pick one case out of the 4 to use, which is usually how I decide this, if I could only pick one of the 4, which one would I pick? And I would pick this one, the Spigen Crystal Shell. So there you go, guys. That's the winner, Spigen. Not to be surprising because, these guys make so many different cases. They know what they're doing. If you guys have any comments about these videos, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer you guys. And of course, the winning subscriber for one of these cases. So I'll let you pick which one of these 3 you want, Mr. or Mrs. J.R. Ramos. You are the winner of a free case from today's competitive video. Anyway, guys, thanks for taking the time to check out the video. Hasta la vista.